Hi, so we're back with more AEW Revolution matches, nearly there. We're on the penultimate match, so the match before the main event. We have our Tornado Trios match, which is between Darby Allin, Roderick Strong, and Orange Cassidy. This is the new faction in the company, the Dogs, which is Clark Connors, Gabe Kidd, and David Finlay. Now, going into this match, obviously, we'd have a lot of build between Gabe Kidd, Darby, Clark Connors, and obviously David Finlay. It's slowly progressed. I've not really been into it. The main thing that was kind of cool to me was the Roderick Strong stuff, him retaining, swerving everyone, essentially. And the match, being a tornado tag, is so fucking insane. Like, it just becomes, chaotic, that type of step. So, it does go nuts, frankly. Yeah, it's fine. There's some good spots. I mean, to me, to be honest, the one thing I'll happily say, since David Finlay specifically has debuted, same with Clark Connors, but mainly David Finlay, there's been a lack of focus with him, and I think this match didn't help that. I feel like, for me, personally, I've been wanting to see David Finlay, strictly David Finlay, and we haven't got that yet. I've heard a lot of things about David Finlay, so I just want to know what the hype's about, and I should go back and watch his New Japan stuff, but still. And Clark Connors is very similar, but every time I've seen Clark Connors, especially in that tag match with Garcia, it was great. Roddy looks great, Cassidy looks great, Darby's just Darby. Like, it's a very standard match. It's definitely the match to, basically calm down after Andrade and Bandido, and obviously to let people reset before the main event. So, it's a wild match. I feel like they wanted to go a bit more wild with it. They never, though. Like, there's no blood or anything, especially with how much they've built this. I will say I didn't like the ending. I'll get into that in a minute. There's some cool spots. I mean, there's a point where Darby gets targeted like hell, as you expect. It's mainly Darby getting targeted, and then Orange and Roddy trying to save the guy, which I kind of do like. There's a point where, Gabe Kidd and Clark, I think it is, whoever it is, they basically get Darby in the corner and tie and chain him up to the tag rope, so he's strangled, so he's out the match. And bear in mind, the match is only 10 minutes, not even that. It's not a long match. And so, Darby's out for over half of it. And after this point, Roddy and Cassidy look good. They've got really good tag chemistry. I will say the Orange Punch, the backbreakers, everything, the flying knees, they've got really good chemistry with each other. There's no surprise that they've built up a tag thing in the post-show after it. Roddy said he wanted to go down the tag division with Cassidy. Not against that. I think that's a really good call. As it further goes on, I mean, it's not too much to write home about. I mean, you know what you're getting with Cassidy, you know what you're getting. Clark Connors doesn't have so much to do. The best part Clark Connors does is the two spears. There's one he does the Darby in the middle, and then there's a spear. I think it's outside the ring, but it takes someone out. It's ridiculous. So Darby does get a end up free because the crowd is screaming. The crowd is screaming, please help Darby. And before I forget, there's a point where so it's the commentary, obviously Brian, Shivani, and Excalibur. And there's a point where they talk about David Finlay. And he just goes to talk about David Finlay, and Shivani just goes up, weirdly muttering, goes, I just think he's fucking awful. There's no need for him. He sounded heartbroken. It was nuts. So after Darby gets freed, he obviously, there's a cool coffin drop. He does that. Obviously, Darby's coffin drops are cool. So there's a point where, it's him and, I forgot to say, when he come out, he drives the skateboard, so he's trying to, the skateboard gets dropped, though. So there's a point towards later in the match where it's Gabe and Darby, and they're chasing each other up the ramp, or Gabe's chasing Darby up the ramp. And then they're attacking each other. And Gabe gets the skateboard and tries to whack Darby over, but Darby ends up blocking it, so Gabe's a bit staggered. And then Gabe's standing normally, off the ramp on the side, and he pushes Gabe. It looks like Gabe was going to do that, but obviously he doesn't. Gabe falls down, he's standing there, and Darby gets the skateboard and does I forget what the trick's called. He jumps on the skateboard, basically grinds on Gabe Kidd's back. That was pretty cool. Them two out of condition for a bit. And then after that, it's in the ring. Gabe and Darby are out the ring, so it's Clark and Cassidy and Roddy and Finlay. So they're just going at it. They basically eliminated. Finlay didn't feel important here, and that's what I didn't like. He didn't really feel important. It felt like a lot of it was just built around Gabe and Darby, which is fine, but at that point, just do the singles. But, they did on Dynamite following it. But as it further went on, obviously, that happens. And then so there's a point where they're trying to get the pin, Clark and Finlay. And Darby stops him with the coffin drop. So everyone's where's Gabe? And Gabe can't get there because he's zip-tied to the end of the ramp or something underneath. Darby took a zip tie with him after he got unchained. And the best spot of the match, I will say, was when it was Darby got Gabe in the Scorpion Deathlock, and basically Roddy had Clark in the I forget what his hold's called. Point is, they all had them in holds, and I thought that should have been the finish for me, but they never did that. And then, frankly, that was kind of it. It's kind of not a nothing burger match. The finish is silly because the finish itself isn't silly, but the result is silly. They gave the win to Cassidy, Darby, and Roddy, which I don't agree with. I thought that was a silly move. It kind of limits and hinders your new big heel faction, so to speak, on entry, especially with the presentation you've been given. You've been trying to give David Finlay and Clark Connors, and Gabe Kidd's such a polarizing wrestler, even to me. It just didn't work, and they tried to make it work after it, like, with Gabe being tied up so he couldn't do it. Darby's walking back up the ramp and he's spitting at him and going, "Come on." Gabe's going, "You're dead, I'm gonna kill you." Cassidy waves at him. It's just, I don't think it was the right call. The match does its job. It kind of holds people over. It's got a great pace to it because it is so short and it knows its role. Yeah, it's not the match. It's similar to the Megan Bayne and the Divine Dominion match for the tag titles tonight, where it done its job perfectly. It progressed the story, but it didn't really write home. It didn't feel like a pay-per-view match, and it wasn't designed to be. So it was good pacing. Like I said, the pace of the match was good. There was some good spots. It just, I want more. I feel like that's what I've wanted since the Dogs. I keep calling them the War Dogs. The Dogs. I don't know why they changed it from the War Dogs. Must be a copyright thing. Since joining AEW, but I just think that'll come eventually. It's just, I don't want to be so patient because how much hype and stuff being built around David Finlay, at least from what I've seen, I've not really felt that's being delivered. And I don't like being negative in AEW, but it's a valid point. And yeah, that's it really. The match exists just to kind of bridge Andrade and Bandito to the main event, which is fine. It is what it is. And yeah, it's not a bad match. It's just fine. It's serviceable. And honestly, it doesn't help that I've not been into the story, right? So I wanted to be impressed a bit more, and it never. So it wasn't bad. It was just, honestly, I'm happy it gave birth to Roddy and Cassidy as a tag team. I enjoyed that. So hopefully that's something that we continue to do, which I think we are. And obviously, I hope we get more David Finlay and Clark Connors. Gabe Kidd, I can kind of take a leave. And Darby's always going to be there. So I hope they kind of just prioritise and go from a good point further forward. I don't want to see this repeated unless it's truly allowed to develop itself, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this match. Obviously, what's your thoughts on it? What's your thoughts on everything that happened? And were you into the story? Did you think it was a good match? I don't think it was bad. I just didn't really get into it. But again, there's bias. And next time, yes, we will be finally talking about the main event of Revolution, the Texas Death match between MJF and Hangman Adam Page.